So now we're going to talk about imaginary situations using the second conditional. Well, this term, second conditional, is a grammar term actually. You might find that term in some books. But some books they don't use that term, like touchstone. Touchstone doesn't use that term. So that's why we're going to call this just imaginary situations. Okay? What is an imaginary situation? You're going to talk about something that is not real, that you can describe it using if, right? So let's start talking about the same real situations we had for the wishes, for the examples with expressing wishes, but in this case we're going to use imaginary situations.
So in the example we were seeing, Veronica said, I live alone and I can't cook. I spend a lot of money eating out every day. So in that situation, there can be an imaginary situation where she says, if I could cook, I wouldn't spend money, or I wouldn't spend a lot of money, right? So this is an imaginary situation because she's saying, if I could cook, she can't cook. That's a real situation. She can't cook. But she's saying, if I could cook, so in that situation, in that imaginary situation, if I could cook, I wouldn't spend money, right? Look at how it's expressed. If I could cook. So the verb is in the past, just the same way you use with wish. That's why it's in red. And then the result, this is what is called the if clause. The if clause has the verb in the past. So the verb that is in the if clause, so the clause that has the if, that's in the past tense. But the result clause has to use would or could. I wouldn't spend a lot of money, right? I can express this same sentence also in a different way. What if I start saying, I wouldn't spend money. I wouldn't spend money if I could cook. If I could cook. If I could cook. So in that case, I have just changed the order of the words, but the meaning is the same. So both are correct. So how can you tell where in the sentence you're going to use the past tense and where in the sentence you're going to use the would? Well, that's something you have to tell according to the clause. If the clause has the if, you have to use the past tense. So this has the if, use the past tense. But the if clause can be at the end of the sentence, the second half of the sentence. So if you see that the if it's at the beginning of the sentence, the verb has to be in the past. The first verb has to be in past. But if you see that the if is not at the beginning of the sentence, but at the middle of the sentence, so the second verb has to be in the past. What about the other verb? Well, the other has to be with would, in affirmative or negative. That's something you have to pay attention to. Now, we were seeing this case of Natalia, who said, it is a cold day. I thought it was going to be a sunny day. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts and getting really cold. Okay, and then in that situation, that real situation, she could say this. She could say, if I had a sweater, I would feel better. But this is imaginary situation because she says, if I had a sweater. She doesn't have a sweater right now. She doesn't have a sweater. But she's saying, if I had a sweater, I would feel better. Right? So this is an imaginary situation. Look at the structure, if. So the sentence is starting with if. If the sentence is starting with if, the verb has to be in the past tense. So if I had a sweater. This doesn't mean that you're talking about the past. No. This means that you're talking about something that is not real right now. We're talking about imaginary situation. So in this case, when you have an if and the verb has to be in the past, is because you're talking about an imaginary situation. Then look at the second part of the sentence. After the comma, you have the result clause. This result clause is using would, right? As I said, I would feel better. But you can also change the order, and you could say, just like the previous example, you could say, I would feel better if I had a sweater, right? There is something else. Both examples were used in the first person, so like an imaginary situation for yourself. But you can also say it in the third person. So you could say, if Natalia had a sweater, so in that case, in that imaginary situation, what should I write here? No, because I'm talking about Natalia. So if Natalia had a sweater, she would feel better, right? So I can also use third person or different subjects. Okay. Now we're gonna see the last example. So in this case, we're talking about this short guy, this little guy, Vladimir, right? He says, I have asthma and I live in Lima. Air pollution makes me sick, right? So in that case, we're gonna see this situation. I would feel healthy if I didn't live in Lima, right? I would feel healthy if I didn't live in Lima. Is this correct? Is this sentence correct? Look at this. I would feel healthy. You might say, but sir, there's a problem here. You said this should be in the past, and it would be at the second part. Why are you starting with would? This is wrong. Well, actually, this is not wrong. This is correct. As I said, you have to pay attention. If the sentence is starting with if, so in this case, the verb is in the past. And then you have the would at the second part. Would or could on the second part. But that's only if the sentence is starting with if. If the sentence is not starting with if the if is at the middle of the sentence, so the verb in past is going to be at the end of the sentence. And the beginning is going to be with would. And actually that's what is happening here. If you see here, I'll be healthy, right? It is correct because the if is at the middle of the sentence. So here it should be in the past. Is it in the past? If I didn't live. Yes, it is in the past. And it's in negative past. So that's also possible. You can also express the past in negative. Right? You can say, I didn't live in Lima. And you can say, this is an imaginary situation about something in a negative form. Right? So this is the way you can say. And you can also use here the third person. You can also say, Vladimir would be healthy if he didn't live in Lima. So you can use any person. The first, the second, or the third person. Right?
So as you have seen, for the imaginary situations, you just have to be careful where the if is. If the if is at the beginning, so you're going to use the verb in the past. You can say, if I didn't live in Lima, right? And then comma, I wouldn't be sick. Sorry, if I didn't live in Lima, I would feel healthy, right? Or you can also say this way. So if you say, if I didn't live in Lima, I would feel healthy. But you can say, I would feel healthy if I didn't live in Lima. The sentence is the same. You have just moved, right? If I didn't live in Lima, I would feel healthy. I would feel healthy if I didn't live in Lima. right? So that's the imaginary situations with the second conditional, right? There are many ways of saying the same things. You have to pay attention about the tenses. That's the most common grammar mistakes you usually have. And also you have to pay attention that for wishes there is also a structure, right? You say, I wish I had a lot of money. So don't forget that there are two subjects, right? Or you can also wish for someone else. You could say, Veronica wishes Vladimir were taller, for example, right? There's something she's wishing for her friend, right? Veronica wishes Vladimir, his friend, who's short, well, were taller, right? Well, I hope this video class could help you. I wish this video, I wish this video could help you. That's an imaginary situation, but actually I could say it in a real situation. Like, I'm sure this video is going to help you. Thank you.